Greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. Yes, it's Monday night, and it's time for that show. Look back at a classic rock album. This is a show that we do every Monday night in which I talk about albums that are about 15 years or greater older that I consider classics. They got to be at least a 2, maybe a 1 or a masterpiece album. This album qualifies as a 2, probably could be higher, probably will end up higher eventually. I hadn't listened to this for some time, so I was quite surprised how much I liked it and how maybe my musical taste had changed enough that this is now getting readily absorbed. We're talking about the Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. I don't know if you can see that. The writing isn't very clear because it's pink writing on blue. Yeah, that always works out fine now, doesn't it? So anyways, this album, I'm going to grab my notes here, put my glasses on, and make sure I still have my prop. Yeah, that's a little better. Not much, though. This was released May the 17th, 1985. Recorded at the Air Salem in Monastrat, however you want to say it, and engineered at Power Station in New York City. It's about 55 minutes and 11 seconds on the CD, cassette, and double LP. This one is, on the CD, and then 45 or 50 minutes, 45 to 46 minutes on the vinyl. On Vertigo label and produced by Neil Dorsman and Mark Knopfler, of course. No surprises there, right? I'm just looking to see if maybe this might be an updated vision. Distributed by Polygram, but yeah. On the, it says it's actually on the Mercury Records label, even though it says Vertigo here, so this is probably an American version of the album, which would make sense, right? So appearing on this album, of course, Mark Knopfler on guitars and vocals, John Isley on bass and vocals, Alan Clark on keyboards, Guy Fletcher on keyboards and vocals, Terry Williams on the drum intro on Money for Nothing, and Jack Sony on the synthesizer guitar part on Man's Too Strong. Additional musicians on this, Michael Brecker on sax on Your Latest Trick, Randy Brecker on trumpet on the same song, Malcolm Duncan on saxophone, Omar Hakim on drums, tambourines, cowbells on all tracks, Neil Jason on bass on One World, Tony Levin's on this album, of course, the great Tony Levin on chapstick on Why Worry, Jimmy McNeary on vibes, What's Wrong, Dave Plews on trumpet, Ride Across the River, and Sting also doing vocals on Money for Nothing. You can actually hear his voice a couple times on there as well. Now, I made my notes. It was a little bit further down, so I'm just going to flip it over. So this album, of course, very Dire Straits sounding because it is a Dire Straits album. In fact, most people, when they're talking about the Dire Straits sound, are talking about this album. This is the album that gave that strong flavor. When Jethro Tull did their album Crest of a Knave, they used that same kind of feel and vibe and making it almost a Dire Straits sounding album as well. So anyways, there are 9 tracks, I believe, on this album. Let me just see. Yeah, 9 tracks. Strong album. The first 3 songs on the album are all radio staples. You will hear them regularly. Depending on what station you're listening to, you're going to hear these 3 songs. So the first one is So Far Away. This is one of their great songs, I think. It's a very laid-back, emotional song with a catchy guitar bit, and the vocals are mid-range, but very distinctive Mark Knopfler sounding vocals here. Excellent track. The next song out, of course, is one of their biggest hits, Money for Nothing. Get those chicks for free, you know? Yeah, we know what that's called. Vocals and a synthesizer sounding opening to the song, as we all know, and then it gets heavy. Get that famous drum intro build up. and to that iconic guitar riff that enters this song. Really catchy beat. Lyrics are classic, and this makes you can actually make out Sting's voice singing through here. If you're listening for his voice specifically, you will find it. This is probably the best track on the album. The other album song that gets a lot of airplay, and of course people would know as well, as Walk This Life. Got a piano opening, keyboards, poppy but catchy. Almost a Springsteen-like feel to the vocal part, I think. Catchy organ beat, up-tempo, but a pop. It's an up-tempo pop track, but it's kind of different. It's a little bit different than what you would normally find on a pop track. Your Latest Trick is a kind of a bluesy, jazzy feel song to it. The vocals, Knopfler, very distinctive, and pretty sax-dominated this track. Why Worry, of course, acoustic guitar bit that begins this moody song. Keyboard part is strong. It's a sad song, but it has an upbeat message. It's kind of a weird combo, but definitely the message is upbeat, but the song, for the most part, is a sad song, I think. Ride Across the River. It's got a drum synthesizer, almost a marimba-like sound. And a slow hand guitar playing, something akin to David Gilmour, but not sounding like Gilmour, but definitely in that slow feel. Maybe more like I can't even think of his name, from Cream. Come on, help me out, will ya? Eric Clapton, sorry. Boy, I think I must be losing something. I don't know what it is. The vocals are a little bit odd, but really good at the same time. This is one of the, I call the lesser tracks, but all the tracks on this album got a 6 or better, so that's a strong album. What's next? Let me see here if I can read it here. Boy, why would anybody write pink on a blue background like this? You need to be bionic eyes to hear this. A Man's Too Strong. Is that the song? Yeah, The Man's Too Strong. Guitar dominated. Vocals are typical of this band. Almost a tribal feeling to this song. When I say tribal, it's got that African noise feeling to it. Although it's fed through a synthesizer, so it sounds synthetic, but it definitely has that feel to it. One World. Guitar picking song. Very good, slow melodic track. The build to this heavy guitar part towards the end. Then you got the last track, the title track, Brothers in Arms. It's a poppy, heavy guitar, bass opening, a catchy, heavy part. The vocals are strong. This is a pretty decent song. The whole album is pretty strong. I think it's a little weaker towards the end of the album, but not at all weak at any point, and I do apologize. This frame is cracked, part of the landslide I had. Anyways, excellent album, well worth it, well worth owning. It's not an album I'm going to go too much because I tend to not stay with poppy albums too much, but in this case, this is a strong album with a lot of really memorable tunes and radio-friendly stuff as well. So I hope you liked this episode of Look Back at a Classic Rock Album featuring the Dire Straits and their Brothers at Arms album. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe. And also make your comments in the comment section. Don't forget the notification bell as well. And we'll be back next Monday night with another Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. So have yourself a good one. Take care.